can never get enough. Never get enough. I can never get enough. Never get enough. I can never get enough. I can never get enough. I can never get enough. But it's my whole life. I can never get enough. Never get enough. I can never get enough. Never get enough. I can never get enough. I can never get enough. I can never get enough. But it's my whole life. Welcome, everybody. It's January 15th, Thursday, 2026. I'm your man, Shadi Ali, a.k.a. SRD. It's your man, Jay Sean, a.k.a. Mr. F. Love.
What's up?
What's
What's
good
up?
with you, brother?
Same old, same old. Another day, another dollar, um, another hustle, another bustle, whatever. Just keeping it moving, man. It's so much going. Really, it's so much going on in the world right now that it's hard to get bored.
I hear that.
you know, if you just think about everything that's not only just in your life. And the and people life and the government, I mean the neighborhood, it's just so much going on right now. It's like everything is moving at zoom 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 zoom. I remember Jamal Hall used to say it ain't enough hours in a day for him.
Yeah.
And now I know what he mean now when he said it ain't enough hours in a day. Cause
Yeah,
sometimes it
yeah. I
seems like
mean,
that.
I mean, think about it like this. It's 24 hours in a day, right?
Yeah.
Normally people work 8 hours. They
Mhm.
sleep 8 hours. Then what else you got left? You got 8 hours after that.
Yeah.
So, if you look at it from that standpoint, nah, it's not enough hours.
It's not. It's really not. It's really not enough hours. So you got to just try to make every minute count. That's all we could do.
Yeah, time management, man. That's what it's about.
Time.
Managing your time.
Yep.
You
Time
know,
management. Yep.
and the reality is, from my view, time is more valuable than money. You
Yep.
know,
It
people
is.
waste your time, you can't get it back. You spend some money, you can get money back.
Yep. Or lose it, you can get it back. You
Right.
can't get time back.
Yeah. So that's how I look at it. So you got your book. Did you get up to your part yet?
No, no, no. I didn't get up to it yet.
Okay.
I told you that I actually let my cousin wanted to hold the book. We was just talking about that.
Oh, which one?
You don't know her. She's an older woman. She's an avid reader.
Oh, okay.
So she was like, you got a book? You got a book for me? I said, my friend just wrote a book. She like, oh, let me read it. I'll give it right back to you. So she had called me
Right.
after she read a little bit of it, and she was like, telling me asking me like, was it she wasn't asking me was it true. She was just I guess more amazed that some of the accomplishments that other goals you set and stuff like that. And we was politicking a little bit, and I gotta go back and get it from her. But we was just talking about that when people ask for the book, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
We was just talking about that.
yeah. Absolutely.
When somebody asks for it, you gotta say go buy
Yeah, 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 yeah. Because if they can read it, but sometimes even after people read it, they may, some cases they want to get it for themselves.
Oh yeah, for they
They
public
read
for
it.
your they personal library. I do that.
Yeah, yeah. So it can work out in your favor at times.
Yeah, it can. And then and when they read it, if it's good, and they tell it other they can't get a book to everybody they tell about the book because it's only
Absolutely.
it's only one book. So if
Right.
something is good, they can be like, oh well, my cousin gave me a book, blah blah blah, and tell somebody else and tell somebody else. There's only one physical book they got, so they can't they
Keep
can't
yeah,
give it
can't
to.
Yeah, right. Can't pass it
Because if
everybody.
somebody tell me something good, I want to see it right now.
Right,
I don't
right.
want to wait till, oh, somebody got it and then somebody else got it and somebody else got it. Like, nah, most people who avid readers, they're gonna be like, well, just tell me where to get it from and how to get it, and then I just get my own. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Which is the best, is really the best thing to do anyway, to support.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely, definitely. For the writer, it's definitely the best thing for the writer.
Yeah, because you want your accolades and whatever else, finances, whatever else you got coming to you, because it's hard work, man.
Yeah, yeah. You put your time in, and you dedicate your time, and you really wanted to do what you expected to do. And sometimes you wanted to go beyond what you expect. You
Yep,
know what I
yeah,
mean? That's the goal, to let it go beyond what you expected, something you couldn't even conceive.
yeah. And you never know, man. That's how books is like the things that you think people won't gravitate to, that's what they gravitate to. You know what I mean? So um your dreams might not, you might not even know, like, well, damn, I would have never thought my book was gonna do this good. You know
Right.
what I mean? And all of a sudden, overnight successes, man.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we've seen it happen.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
that's what
saying?
I'm
We definitely
saying.
seen it happen. Definitely would like to be a part of that as well. So I guess you know, froze up on me.
Oh yeah, there
Yeah.
we go.
I guess we could go ahead and get into it. You know what I
Um,
mean?
yeah.
So you were saying we're going. I guess we'll start with you. You were saying last week that you brought in the new year in church.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I pretty much asked if you enjoyed the service, but
Mm-hmm.
beyond that leads me to my question. My question is, do you think churches today focus more on money or ministry?
Um, you know, this how I break it down like this. I think that the people who don't go to church, the first thing they will say is that churches focus more on money. I believe that the people who go to church will say the first thing the church focuses on is ministry. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now you gotta wonder if the people who don't go, they're on the outside looking in. So if you're on the outside looking in, do you got a clear perception of what's really going on, or you just going off of what we've been told from generations and things about pastors and stuff, or are the people inside the church wearing dark shades and being naive to what's going on every time? We need a new roof and we got to build a school in Africa. We need some air conditions in the basement. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's different ways. But um, me personally, if I had to just put my hand on it, I would say that I believe more. I believe I say 7 out of 10. I believe 7 out of 10 pastors probably in it for the money. That's just me personally. Not because they not pure at heart, not because they evil or nothing like that. I just believe that the lure of money is too much for anybody. You could I could see if I was a pastor, I could be pure at heart, but if you got people giving you money, you got people giving you money. You know what I mean? And you got to be able to look another way and look at this money as this is just money for God or from God or for God or whatever. But and that's kind of high. I know that's high for me to say 7 out of 10. But that's my opinion. You know what I mean? What about you?
What's up, Shoshana? What's going on? For me, I've I've seen, winning churches and seeing the focus on money. Me, I believe that the churches are not being 100 with the people. You know what I'm saying? I think the churches, I think because now, that I read the Bible more, I see a lot of information that's in the Bible that would be really valuable to the parishioners. You know, I have a problem sometimes with, Christians. And that's what made me kind of back out of being a Christian when it was like, oh, you got to focus on the death of Jesus and that, so your soul could be saved.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like a fear thing. You putting fear in the people. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you believe in Jesus, if you don't believe in Jesus, you're going to hell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you don't believe he died on the cross, I just think that dynamic is doing more harm than help.
Right.
I believe because ultimately it says that we all got to be judged.
Right.
So if your sins is forgiven, what are you going to be judged for? You
True.
wouldn't have to be judged. You go straight to paradise.
Right.
So that's the part with me. I think the information is being watered down, and the fact that when a before a person become a pastor, they have to be ordained.
Mm.
So it's like, okay, if you got a calling for God from God, why do you need man to ordain you? So that's where my mind kind of go with it, and but now don't get me wrong, like I said, I'm not opposed to what's in the Bible per se,
Mm-hmm.
because the Bible speak on behaviors. And I think one of the key components in our society is behavior. The behaviors contribute to a lot of chaos.
Yeah. So
You
is it
know,
money or ministry?
so I say the money because if you ministering right,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. If you ministering, then you're gonna be putting it. You're gonna be putting the truth out there. You're gonna
Mm.
be putting. You're gonna be having the parishioners, you know, filled up with okay. Said Jesus was connected to God, so you would have them connected to God just as Jesus was trying to live like Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
rather than just saying in the name of Jesus. That's just my view.
Hey, and that's coming from two intelligent brothers. It's just, and we both said the same thing. So it's deep. That's deep.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, we flipped the script a little bit. Um, and it's a lot of ways I know you can answer this question because there's a lot of ways I could answer it. But you get the first chance to define it. Um, and I'll say in the
Peace,
two
cuz.
thousand 2026 in 2026. With everything going on in 2026, marriages falling apart and relationships and people dating and engagements and everything and divorce rates and everything. With all that going on in the world right now, do you think that sex is being misused?
Okay, I mean, and you just kind of touched on it. You just touched on, you know, a lot of divorces, you know, people in and out of relationships.
No, sorry.
You know, my personal view is if we take it to the natural state of what sex is really for, sex is to reproduce.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so how many people, when they're having sex, even having the notion of reproducing? You know, I would say very few or hardly any.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when they're having sex, they're not saying, "Look, I'm going to have sex because I want to make a baby." You know, let's get together. We got everything together. You know, we done came together and now we're stable. So let's have sex to make a baby. No, people having sex for pleasure. So
Mm-hmm.
what's happening more times than not, based on what I've seen, babies are being born from casual sex or pleasurable sex. Now, when the baby come, there's irresponsibility. Why? Because when you had sex, the baby wasn't in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, yeah, sex is being misused. You know, plus is being, you know, exacerbated, heightened up. You know what I mean? It's being promoted to its highest level to keep people because no, don't we can't get it wrong. It's enjoyable. You know what I mean? It's enjoyable. Okay. But the other part of it is okay, once the sex is done and the baby is born, where do you go from there? Especially if that wasn't your plan.
Right.
So you know where the way I look at it is, I think we as a society, it's necessary for us to start being more mindful, especially those who are at the age level where they can make babies. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because
That.
it's it's producing individuals who are not being properly disciplined, guided, and other things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say that that sex is being misused, is being heightened, and it's being out of pocket.
I agree.
Uh, so that is what he said. It sounded like you conflicted with teaching the Bible, with the conflicted with the teachings of the Bible, but uh, make the teachings the problem. Don't don't put the person what's that in in the equation and put the morality in its perspective. So
What you talking about? The other question.
yeah, he was talking about what we were speaking about before. So
Oh, okay.
don't put the person in the equation and put the morality of it in its perspective.
Perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I mean, I I agree with you. You know, the teachings, yeah, the teachings is an issue for me. The way the Bible is being taught. You know what I mean? There's morality in it. Even we just were speaking on sex, and it says the basically the like unlawful sex, or basically the what I was saying, just having sex to have sex. So yeah, that's in the Bible. So if the Bible's taught properly, people get the true inner, under, and overstanding of it, the comprehension of it, then I think more people would strive to live by it rather than just, you know, my opinion, you know, feel like their sins is forgiven just because they believe in Jesus. That's the thing for me. I just feel like people don't. Some people don't want to take accountability for their actions, so it's easy to say, uh, the sins. I'm forgiven for my sins. So that's my thing. I think too
True.
many people fall back on that part of the scripture, rather than the be righteous part. You know what I'm saying? To try to do what's right, to try to live to a higher level of themselves, to evolve.
Hmm.
That's how I see it.
Yeah, that's real. That's real.
Yeah. So what's your view when it comes to sex? What do you think?
I mean, I think it's just that's a no brainer to me. Is sex is definitely being misused in all aspects, all walks of life, in relationships, and every kind of way you could think about it. I believe that sex is being misused because, first of all, the whole teenage generation or the youth, all of them is having sex inside of wedlock. Then the people that's living with people who having sex. That's out of that's still a sin. It's out of wedlock. Then you got the married people who having sex that's cheating. That's a sin. You know what I mean? So it's too much for me. It's too much sin attached to sex nowadays. You think about the whole younger generation. The whole younger generation is having sex. That's still a sin. If you living with somebody, like I just said, right? That's still a sin. For the people that's married, and if they cheating, that's still a sin. So, and all that has something to do with sex. So to me, that's an easy one. It's definitely being misused. It's definitely not being used for the right thing. And what is the right thing? For love, um, um, uh, endearment, um, affection between two people who care about each other. You know what I mean? Or, like you said, for reproduction. When the two people wanted to be for reproduction, But other than that, that's the easy one for me. Is sex is definitely being misused in 2026. That's an easy one.
Yeah, Thaddeus basically was saying, pretty much agreeing that sex has one purpose: to reproduce.
Hmm.
That's it, no more, no less. The
That's
reason
true.
it feels so good is to keep people doing it again and again to reproduce. That- that- uh, you know,
That's a fact.
see, the only thing about that, Thaddy, is they taking stuff so they don't reproduce. So they just doing it for the pleasure. You know what I mean? They taking birth control, things of that nature. So they caught more up on the feeling, it
and
appears,
and
than the reproduction part
and
of it.
don't forget what really be killing me is that you got people in their teenagers in their 20s, 30s just taking Viagra and Cialis and the honey pack and the blue chew. I'm like, yo, man, you 20 something years old, bro. like you 20 something years old.
Right.
Like what? Like you know what I mean? Like when I was your age, like my shit got hard when the wind blow.
Yeah. Yeah. See,
But
and I think that's because the society has become over sexual over sexualized. So
that's a good point right there.
over sexualized. So the main focus is not what you mentioned, having a connection, you know what I mean, doing it out of love. It's just sex. Let's
beat it,
do it. I wanna twist your back out.
beat it
You know
up,
what I mean? I want to
beat
get up in your belly. That kind of stuff.
beat it up, beat that coochie up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But the reality is a baby come out of it. So really, how much do you really beat it up?
Yeah,
You know,
you can't beat it up.
So you can
Nobody penis as big as a infant. Nobody
right.
penis
So you
weigh
can bring the
8 pounds.
pleasure there. You can bring some pleasure.
Yeah, nobody.
However, you know, I think that's the over sexualization is something that is being promoted purposely
hmm
because if you get caught up in sex part, you don't build the emotional connection that's needed, you know, for the family structure.
hmm
Hence, you have the family discombobulated.
Yep.
So that's how I see it, and I look at it as that's the purpose behind the over sexualization.
hmm
Let me see.
You leave me alone, cat.
Be tough reading this stuff. You know what I mean? Says
Yeah.
you have to understand that the brain has one purpose in life, and that reproduction keeps life from going, keep life going on and on. I'll give you an example. If you if you were stranded in the wilderness and it's freezing, the body will start to shut down and things it doesn't need to reproduce one things it doesn't need to reproduce first before it's finally shut down. So the things what he's saying basically, if you're in the wilderness and you stranded, the things that you don't need to reproduce will be the first things that start to shut down.
Who said that?
That is.
Oh, okay. I get that.
And he said, as for the pleasure, that's the brain taking the person out of having the sex. Uh, the brain is faking the person out to have sex or to say, "Oh yeah, it's good," but its main purpose is to reproduce. So basically, said uh, the endorphins, you know what I mean, have you all psyched out just to get caught up on the pleasure you know, to kind of lose focus
hmm
of the reproduction status. So the brain get caught up in the pleasure part of it and forget about the responsible part of the reproduction part, which I agree, brother. Absolutely. Okay. Now, being that we talking about sex,
Mm-hmm.
you know, one of the major things when it comes to sex is, as you were saying, you know, people people cheating. So my thing is, the question that I'm alluding to is cheating a mistake or is it a decision?
Mm. Um, a lot of people maybe not gonna agree with this, with me, with this, but I definitely know for a fact that cheating is a mistake and a decision because you can make a decision to cheat, make up your mind to cheat, but you also could be on the ledge between cheating and not cheating, but be caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. You know what I mean? How many times in your life, mostly females though, guys don't really talk like that, but mostly females who went somewhere and had no intentions of having sex at all. You know, maybe a little bit of drinks, a little bit of touching, a little bit of kissing. You know what I mean? And before they knew it, you know, they was already doing it. I mean, in the end, they still got to make a decision at the last moment. But I believe that their decision was altered. So I just believe that cheating can be a decision or a mistake. What about you?
I can agree that, you know, pretty much most times it's a decision. You know, even because my mom told me, like, you know, kind of with what you were saying, but she kind of go the opposite. She went the opposite with it. She said a woman already know if they're gonna have sex with you basically as soon as they meet you. You know what I mean? So, but what they do is psych us out and make us think, they really didn't want to do it.
I believe that
So, so, and it's like an ego booster. It boosts your ego because you think you'd have made her do something she really didn't want to do when already she already wanted to do it, and she basically sucked you in.
because you heard what I just said. I just proved her point.
Right.
from what I
Ultimately, they
from
got the last decision.
Yeah, from what I just said, I just proved her point because I'm saying like a lot of times we all of us we been females, we done been with females who said, "Oh, I'm gonna come, but I ain't doing nothing."
Right.
Or you could come over, but we ain't doing nothing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that could have been the 52 fake out. You know what I mean? And they knew all the time that they was gonna do something. You know what I mean? So uh mom's probably more than likely 99.9% right.
Yeah. Now the other part of it is when you're around women, and you've been around enough women to know that women seduce men more so than men seduce women.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's
So,
true.
so going back to what you said, if you're on the ledge, if
Mm-hmm.
you're not sure whether you want to do it or not, most time the woman gonna tilt you over to whatever she want to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
That's
yeah,
true.
so I think it can be a mistake, but most times it's a decision. I would go with that.
Okay. All right. Um Okay. This is a good one. Now, a lot of people might really think they know the answer to this or think they know how to answer this, but more than likely, 10 out of 10 people think they know the answer to this or they know how to answer this question. They think they know, or they think they have known or whatever. But if you known, then the world wouldn't be in the position it's in right now. But I'll ask you, um, how important do you think good communication is to a marriage or a relationship?
All right, before I answer that, I want to, because it kind of ties in a little bit, it kind of ties in the other part of the communication. The Because we were still on sex, and Thaddeus said another one. He said, remember we talking about sex, you know, and you know, so in order to reproduce, we have to have sex. So what's better than sex? New sex. It keeps the vigor alive, and going. So most of it, mostly, it doesn't make it. Mostly, it doesn't matter what the relationship is going through. It's about keeping the drive alive. So basically, from my comprehension of what he's saying is like, you know, but when he say new sex, he kind of lean towards that question to keep the vigor in. Something he kind of make me think about what you said, that why people cheat sometimes. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? The new sex is the vigor. You know what I mean? I would imagine you can have new sex with the person you with if you try something new.
Right.
It could be some new sexual position, some new sex in a place that you never did it before. But he got to let me know if that's what he's talking about. But from what he was saying, I'm thinking he was like, the new sex keep the vigor going on in the relationship. For some people,
Hmm.
I mean. So, but getting back to the question at hand, when it comes to you know communication, I personally believe that that's a key component. You know, some may say it's just as important as sex.
Yeah.
You know, because really, if you think about it, how do you have sex with somebody if you don't communicate? It's not like you're just going to look at each other and automatically you just start pulling each other's clothes off without any words.
Right.
So, and I think communication based on a lot of what's being a lot of guys on the internet now. I think they are making it more difficult when it comes to communication with women, because a lot of them I hear, they put whatever goes wrong in the relationship on the man. If your woman is unhappy, if your woman is mean, if your woman is angry, you can fix that, you know? And to some degree, I think it's possible. But on another angle, I think it's take putting too much responsibility on the man and taking responsibility off of the woman of what is necessary for her to contribute. to communicating and to the relationship. Because if it's like if she's sad and she's angry and she said, "Well, you got to make me happy. You got, you know what I mean? You got to make a safe place for me." And okay, how do you make a safe place for her if she doesn't make a safe place for you? You know, and that safe place come with the communication. Once you're able to communicate and be comfortable speaking about whatever it is that you're going through,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in a manner that both of you are receptive, I think that in itself brings the two of you closer. If the conversation goes on and you two are not able to reach each other, I think it creates distance. So yeah, my view is communication is extremely important for the growth of a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see what Cuz say.
You reading something?
Yeah, yeah. My cousin put something up here. He said the reality of losing focus on respect of the act of sex, pleasure, you know. So the new reality of reproductiveness and the man's part is not kept in his promise of wanting to, well, waiting or collectively begging is a child support and enforcement uh, strain on that communication and the situation gone bad. So so basically, if I got it right, you know, he Cuz is saying like, you know, keeping the focus on the respect of the act of sex, you know, the pleasure, the new reality, the reproductiveness, and you know, happens if the man part is not kept. If okay, now once a man, you know, he gets just caught up in the sexual act and he just want the baby, don't want the baby, want the sex. Now the baby's here, he don't want to do his part. Now child support and all these other issues come to play. So yeah, cuz, you know, I agree that it's, you know, it's necessary to keep the respect that, yeah, this is a reproductive thing. Going into it that, okay, if a baby's born, what we gonna do? I think that conversation need to be had, especially with those who can have babies. They need to have that conversation needs to be had more times than not in order to, you know, prevent what you're saying, child support and you know legal entities getting into your business. Yeah. Now, what do you think about the question?
Where we was at?
uh,
um,
we was talking about communication. How important do you think communication is?
important is um. Oh, I got it right here. How important it do the communication is to a marriage relationship?
To a marriage or relationship? What do you think?
Um, I really, I think communication is everything, man. Um, it's probably to me, it's probably more important than love. It's probably more important than just about everything that's gonna keep people together. Why I say that is because a lot of times when you got two people, they two different people. A man, a woman with two different backgrounds, two different upbringings, two different passes, and then you trying to put your future together with them. How many times when you in relationships and you wish you could tell your woman something but you don't, or vice versa, or a woman wish she could tell you something that she did or said but she won't. Those the little things that matter the most because that's a lack of communication or that crazy thing would they be saying I lied to you because I love you, or I lied to you because you can't handle the truth or whatever. I believe so. I believe if communication was if the two people communication is that tight, then they should be able to tell each other whatever they want to tell each other. That's
Uh,
just me. I think communication is
that
big.
what you said goes back to what I mentioned when I said safe space.
Mm,
When you feel safe enough and comfortable enough to
mm-hmm.
tell people those little things that you hold back.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So a person, if you don't feel comfortable, if you feel like you're going to be judged or chastised or screamed on, you're not going to say anything.
Not gonna say it.
So that's why I say that safe space is important for both man and woman to make each other feel safe. I be
Mm-hmm.
hearing these guys talking about you got to make the woman feel safe, and of course you're going to do your best to make her feel safe, but in return, it's a reciprocation thing. You want to feel safe too.
Yep.
So that's my view on it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see what else Cuz said. Yeah, yeah. And before we go to the next one, Cuzzo was saying also you got to remember when it's a sexual encounter happens and it's built on the guy basically pleading and begging to get the sex, then that's pretty much he basically that's all he wants. You know what I'm saying? He pleading and begging to get the sex, but he not pleading and begging because, like you said, he not pleading and begging to establish a long term or wholesome relationship with this person. He
Mm-hmm.
pleading and begging to get the sex. Once he get the sex and then she get pregnant, now he want to say, "Oh, it's her fault." A lot of times,
Mm-hmm.
these guys that do that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
So, and a lot of times, some of them cats say, "Oh, I ain't even want no baby, but you had sex, I'm protected." So, you know, draw that up. All right. Now that's why I want to get where people can talk so we can have these conversations. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So I don't have to be reading. I can just hear them saying what they're saying so we can, because reading them.
It's and I think on YouTube you can open up a chat some kind of way. I don't know. It's so
But a
much.
chat, this is a chat. I mean, but you saying a verbal? They
Oh yeah,
start the
no, really,
verbal?
you're right. You're right. That's a chat.
Yeah, this is the chat right here. I'm talking. I want to get the verbal part where we could go back and forth verbally.
Nah, it's like what you said that we need that third phone for people could call in and just put them on speaker.
Right, right.
That'll help too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We definitely need something like that.
That'll be a big help.
Uh,
Mm.
we almost done, but next week, when
Mhm.
next week that is, you come in. I can push you in on Facebook, and we can talk like that. I can push you in
Mhm.
next week. You know what I mean? When it start, I could you just send something, and I send you a request, and you just answer the request. This way, we could talk. You know, because we had some good dialogue, but we got
Yeah.
to get to this last question. So I'm a miss what you just put here. So we go get to this last question. Um, we talk. There's a lot of talk about how how we were brought here. Some 400 plus years ago, um, the '60s. When it was we fighting for civil rights, and that some people say Trump is trying to take us back. So, with that being said, has history truly taught us, or do we keep repeating it?
um, I think history has taught us stuff, but we neglect it. We neglect to listen and learn from it. You know what I mean? Like we know what Martin Luther King was preaching. We know what Malcolm X was saying. Uh, we know what all them great leaders was preaching. Um, Medgar Evers. Uh, who else? It's a Malcolm X. We know what they all was preaching and talking, but I believe we know, but we don't utilize it. You know what I mean? We know we gotta stick together as people, but we don't do it. We know we gotta stop killing each other, but we don't do it. We know that it's strength in numbers. Um, we know that if we stand together, we strong, but we just don't do it, man. Yeah, history repeats itself, but it ain't getting no better, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, I'm gonna throw this in with the history,
Hmm.
uh, because like you said you know sometimes we are not we know, but we're not learning. So I'm gonna throw Thaddeus' response in kind of with it, and when and I'm gonna use it like basically Thaddeus was saying that um, we kind of us and a lot of us on the platform we ain't on that uh, we out of that stage of just trying to make babies. We out of that stage. So basically saying that's something we need to implement with the young people, the young ladies, young men, to kind of change the history, so to speak. You know what I mean? Because history is okay, having babies and having baby mothers. That's a part of our history. You
Yep.
know what I mean? I got both multiple children, mother, you, and quite a few of us. So if we want to try to change the history and try to make it more productive for us, then maybe we want to try to say, okay, look, let's start being more mindful with the sexual encounters. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Let's start being more responsible because worse than having multiple baby mothers to me is having multiple baby mothers with children that you're not taking care of.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? That's worse than having multiple baby mothers,
Right.
you know, because now they got children and you're not taking care of them children, and now you're making more.
Right.
So as long as you know it's and that's for those who are doing it because there are plenty guys who have multiple baby mothers who are taking care of all their children.
Mm-hmm.
To
It
them,
is. It
kudos.
is.
You know what I mean? To them, kudos.
Yep.
Because we need more of that. We need more of that. We need, and we also need men when they meet women to kind of like the past history and and history back in the day, a lot of men would marry women who already had children.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen as much now as it did then.
Yep.
A lot of times I hear guys say, "Man, she got too many children. I ain't messing with her. I ain't trying to, I ain't trying to marry her." But they'll have sex with him, you know.
Yep.
So that's a little history that I wanted to kind of tie and Thaddeus, his response with the history of us rather than going back too far, just going with some history that we all can relate to. We all can relate to, history of, you know, multiple baby mothers. And some of us, maybe not. Some of us may only have one baby mother or one children's mother, which is cool. So at some point, I feel you that it's necessary for us to start looking at past behaviors and stop repeating them if they're not helpful to what we are striving to do in the present and for the future. What's your thoughts?
Um. Um. I think that we on the history, right?
Right, right,
Talking
right.
about history.
Yeah. Got a minute and a half left.
A minute.
Yeah, minute and a half.
That was the your question, right?
No, that was your question. That
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 was my
I was just
question.
asking you. When it comes to like um, us doing better. Like you said, us doing better when it comes to not repeating history that's causing us hardships.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah. Um, I believe that history has taught us things, but somewhere along the line, we disengaged from the younger generation, and without the youth, it really ain't. It really can't be no future. If the youth is lost, then the future is lost. Um, and then we got to figure out what history we talking about. We talking about our history or his story. You know what I mean? Um, when I look at history, I think about the struggles, um, setbacks. Um, I don't really go far back to slavery and all that, but I think most of the time when I think of things, I start like from the 30s. I don't. That's how I look at life. I go back like to the 30s because like that's my parents was born in the 30s, so that
Okay.
I know about because they told me about it. I really don't go far back into 1770s and the 1500s and BC and all that, but
Right.
from the 30s on up, that I know that's where my parents and grandparents and all that was born. So I learned from that. But in the the main thing that I could say is that if we don't connect with the youth, then there's nothing we really could do.
Let's leave it with that, brother. Those are profound words right there.
Yeah,
You know, let's leave it with that. I mean, that's it. It's not much else to be said. If we don't connect with our youth, our future is dim.
yeah, that's real.
So that's something that is necessary for us to figure out,
Yeah,
to reconnect with the youth.
we have to. It's crazy.
So
Let me tell you one
go
thing
ahead.
before we end this. Uh, I was talking to this guy. He was telling me he was in court Monday with his son. I said I was in court for my son Monday. Then I was talking to this lady, and she was in court Monday for her son.
Mhm.
So we all about the same age, and our kids all about the same age. And I'm saying, you know what I mean? Like it's a pattern.
Right,
It's sort of like what we just was talking about. Like without the youth, and you can't really point fingers and blame people because I never was that kind of person because I never would say you could blame my mother and father for the things I did. Never. No way.
right, right,
Not a doubt. No way. And we did things that our parents would never believe in a million. They would never believe in a million years the things we did. So I never blame parents for what their kids do. I blame a parent if they was absent. I blame a parent if they chose drugs over children or the streets over children. But other than that, I wouldn't really do that. I would never blame a parent for something that their kids is doing. But I just wanted to say that because that was kind of ironic that I met two other parents and me this week that all was in court on the same day for their sons. You know what I mean? Me, a lady, and another guy, we all was in court. We didn't know it, all for our children. And
right.
I'm like that, and that's what I was saying before. Like it's a disengagement from the parents to the kids, and the people that got good kids that's in college and seeking careers. You trust me, you don't know how happy, how lucky you are, fortunate you are. You know what I mean? Because it's easy to get in trouble, man, but it's hard to get out of it.
Absolutely, absolutely, and and that's our challenge to
Hmm.
figure out ways to reach those who have already been disenfranchised, who have already made some decisions that has derailed their life.
Hmm.
So it's like we don't want to let nobody fall to the wayside if we can help it.
True.
So that's so rather than pointing the fingers, figure out some solutions.
True.
You know what I mean? That's the new model. All right. Let the people know where they can see you at tomorrow.
Oh, I'll be on them all night about 9:45 on my Facebook Live and on TikTok. J at J Sean 763. I don't know what we'd be talking about, but we always seem to come up with a good topic. That last week we was talking about red flags, and like we just went 3 hours about red flags. So we always seem to come up with something good. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
tune in tomorrow about 9:30, 9:45, really to be exact, and we'll be having some serious adult conversation. Rated. I don't want to see rated X. Some people say it's rated after hour talk.
There you go. And that's it for tonight, people. Thank you all for being with us. We know you could have been anywhere. We're thankful that you came to spend that time with us. And
Where
for
the
that,
book?
we're grateful.
Where the book? How they get the book?
You can get the book by going to Amazon or Barnes and Nobles.
What book? What book?
From Hustler to Businessman,
Hmm.
an autobiography. You can put AndreShadiAli. That's Andre Shadi Ali. Go to my page. You can look down on either of these pages, either on Facebook or on YouTube or Instagram, and you'll see a video expressing the same thing of how you can get the book. Okay? So again, thank you, and we're grateful for spending this time with you. We look forward to spending some more time with you next week.
Hmm.
All right.
Be there.
And to then, love, peace, and unity.
Peace.
Peace.